What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is March 12th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a great day wherever you are, and today we've got a good range of decent topics to discuss here on the update. We're not only going to be doing a little bit of a quarterly review over the crypto space, really analyzing Q1 of 2019 and seeing what I can extract as to where we are in the given market cycle, but along with that, talking about the fact that if you don't believe speculation is still going on in the crypto space, look no further than South Korea, where Kakao Corp, one of the largest tech conglomerates in South Korea, just conducted an ICO raising $90 million, and they're planning to raise even more. So I'm going to be talking about that and just kind of analyzing what they're trying to build, and also kind of getting an assessment on South Korea. So we've got lots to discuss. Let's not push it off any longer, but real quickly, let's go ahead and check out our sponsor. Our sponsor for this episode is DX Exchange. DX Exchange is the first regulated digital asset exchange that allows institutions and individuals to invest, purchase, trade, and exchange both cryptocurrencies and fiat for digital ETFs and digital stocks like Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon tokens. When you become a token holder, you own digital stocks or portions of the company's stock, backed one-to-one to the real asset. So if you buy one digital stock of Amazon, one stock of Amazon is kept in custody and purchased in the market. Together, we can now trade the untradeable and bank the unbankable 24/7 and commission-free. All right, everyone, so let's go ahead and do this quarterly review on crypto, really starting off actually kind of in mid-December because, we're, still in the middle of March right now. So I think it'd be fair, to really analyze the past 3 months of price action. And it's actually kind of convenient because this is when we saw the bottom in December in crypto markets. This is when we reached $100 million in valuation across the board, which is a very big even level. And since then, we've actually gotten to see some really positive price action in cryptocurrencies. We've gone from around 100 billion towards around $133 billion. So nice 33% bump up from those lows. And it's not surprising if you guys have been watching the market over the past few months, not only with the addition of a lot of new coins and tokens on the Binance Launchpad, with new currencies like Grin and Beam, and just things popping up even in this market, not to mention the absolute green price action we have seen on some altcoins. We've seen double-digit, triple-digit returns on some of these plays. Now, we've been seeing these price moves across the board almost on a daily basis. It's been like a daily phenomena for the past 2 or 3 weeks. You can look pretty much any day and there will be a good set of altcoins, in the green with some of these in double-digit or triple-digit territory. The reason why this hasn't had as much as a significant impact on the market, where you'd think probably be at like 150 to 200 billion, is because a lot of this is short-lived, guys. And that's what I do want to kind of extract. I'm going to play devil's advocate, be kind of critical here at first, and then I'm going to talk more about the positive nature, right? Get the ugly and the bad out of the way. All right. So there's a few things to extract from this. One, most of these price moves are not only short term, but there's a reason they're short term. It's because there's thin volume in the market, right? A few people are really pushing this stuff around, guys. This is not, the new paradigm retail traders coming in. This is simply a lot of major players in the space starting to speculate and dabble on altcoins amongst one another, and then also trying to allure a lot of people to buy into their bags when it's gone up 50%, 100%. Whatever it may be. And the third part as well that I really want to bring into factor here, which kind of plays into what I just mentioned, is the volume aspect. Now, I talk a lot about volume in this market, guys, because it is extremely important, because volume justifies whether or not something actually is relatively deserving of the value that it has, right? Not on a fundamental level, but on a level where I can feel comfortable actually buying and selling it. If I know that the vast majority of the already low count of volume in this market is, market making, fake volume, and worse off wash trading, that's a big concern for me. It's a big red flag. Not only because that scares me that a lot of exchanges are getting away and doing that, but along with that, it's to, you have to factor that in when you're looking at these prices and ask, are this many people trading this cryptocurrency? Are these valuations really in this liquid of a market? Well, they're not. And they're coming from a lot less volume than you probably think. It's pretty scary. Just take a look. I'll go ahead and I'll leave this with you to stop from rambling on about this. Take a look at some of these major altcoins and check the actual where the volume's coming from. And if it's not coming from Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, Poloniex, I'm trying to think, I'm probably Bitstamp. There's a few other exchanges I'm thinking of. And then maybe like BitThumb or one or two of the Korean exchanges. If it's not coming from there, 90% chance it's wash trading or market making, right? Or just false reported volume. So that's what we have to take away from this. But nonetheless, you can actually start to see some volume coming in on the actual exchanges, actually buying up some of these altcoins. And usually all of that fake volume and those fake exchanges track and basically it kind of, people will basically take upon the opportunity to act like there's an arbitrage in that case, and they're going to follow the actual market value. So these cryptocurrencies might actually be where they're fundamentally at right now in a case, or at least at a much more fair valuation. But we can see here over the past 3 months from December down here at this big even, this is what we kind of talked about, back during the craze of the sell-off. I was thinking we were going to come down to 100 billion, and we actually did rebound off those levels. I was really excited to see that because it's a nice level from the peak around the 700 to 800 billion dollar range we saw crypto hovering at during the bull market. A good reduction like that of about 80, I would say not 80%, sorry. A good chunk of valuation getting sliced off in the market. And now we're starting to see higher lows here, right? With Bitcoin making higher lows, altcoins are following in that case. And Bitcoin dominance, it's starting to drop. This means that speculation's coming up. Look here at the other coins percentage. I think no one is talking about this. And this has obviously been with the launch pad and the rise in altcoin valuations in general. This is setting up, in my opinion, for a serious move. If we take it to the max chart here, it's going to take a second to load. This to me looks like it's cupping up here. And when it gets up to this range, when Bitcoin starts to test past 50% to the downside in market dominance, I think you're going to see a pretty big wave of speculation. And this is if Bitcoin breaks past 4,000 to 4,100. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Real quick, I want to share with you guys, I was actually on CNBC Africa. This is back in Hong Kong. They fit in a small little interview with me asking me about Facebook coin, and it kind of talks a little bit in short about what I talked about a few days ago on the video. But if you guys want to check that, I think it's like a little bit like around 31. Just go to like 31 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'll be up there in a matter of a few seconds, and you can watch my interview on it if you want to check it. But just a short little video. And thanks to Lindsay as well, who filled in at the CNBC Africa, doing some interviews and stuff. She's doing her own YouTube channel. I think her name is on YouTube is Crypto Joo, Joo. And you should definitely check her out. She was really nice. But got to meet Ran and everyone from there, and it seems like they've produced some really good quality content on the Hong Kong conference and kind of where the crypto space is. Anyways, I digress. Definitely check it out. Now, let's go ahead and talk, about some of the price action on some of these major altcoins, because I think it's really what we need to be watching at the moment. I really, as you all know, I do not do crazy advanced over-the-top TA. I really focus on some very simple principles of naked trading, which is support and resistance, and I look at some of my favorite indicators for FX markets, equities, and cryptocurrencies, like some of the things that work great across the board no matter what market I'm in. Now, cryptocurrencies give very good, simple signs of a process of reversing in this case in markets. They move in very, I wouldn't say predictable, because, for example, I've made a lot of right calls in my past, but I've also made some wrong calls, to be fair. The thing, though, is that cryptocurrencies have very parabolic run-ups and very stark retracements, right? 80, 90% in the case of the past cycle and previous cycles beforehand. But crypto is giving us very predictable signs that confidence is returning to this market. Now, volume is still very thin. This is my biggest concern. It's kept me bearish in this market, or at least kept me in the idea that we have a very good chance to see Bitcoin double bottom again. But the altcoins are speaking a lot in this market. We're starting to see higher levels here on Ethereum. Not to mention, it's starting to take on almost not a parabolic curve, but a curve that's starting to pick up momentum. And if it can continue to hold this, in this case, if we can start to see the lows starting to pick up a faster pace of momentum rather than just a long-term uptrend line, this might signal that, in the later part of March, towards April and May, we actually might have the break on 4,000 on Bitcoin and start to move higher in a lot of altcoins. But either way, the almost more bearish case scenario is that we're going to continue to make higher lows at a slower pace. And sometime into the summer of 2019, this is where we could actually start to see an upside to crypto. I'll be fair, guys. I'm going to take the latter of these two positions and believe that this will probably break through to the downside, but still hold higher lows every time. And with multiple higher lows, you can actually get confidence in this market that things are going to move higher. This is very similar to how Bitcoin was back in 2015. In 2016, when things started to pick up a little bit in the market and people started to realize that there was a bit of speculation coming back in, some real volume coming back in at the lows, or at least the lower range. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Outside of that as well, you've got other players. You've got XRP, for example. If we take a look on Binance here. Again, still holding higher levels here from where we were back here during September, where we got, like, again, the big pop up. There's a lot of the Swift, I remember the Swell conference speculation. But what I want to look for here with XRP is for it to hold here around like 7,000 Satoshis. And it looks like it could break down there. But if it can, we're still making higher lows every time here with XRP, no matter what you think about it. That speaks to the speculation here. Not to mention, if you can get one more sell-off down there, get it oversold here on the VIX 3 times towards the RSI on the low end, that'd be good to see. But again, major point here is that we're making higher lows overall on these bigger cycles on XRP, which speaks to the longer-term speculation. We'll go ahead and take a look at a few more players here, some of the protocols, like ADA as well, Cardano. Cardano has been making higher lows in this case, right? We had a double bottom here in February and March towards the beginning of each month, and it looks like we want to test back up to the range here around 1,300 Satoshis. Again, nice 30 to 35% plus bounce up from the lows there. Good to see in this kind of market, right? Some of the major established protocols. And if you just kind of zoom out here, I'm going to turn off my indicators. A lot of this was just basically waiting for cryptos to come back down to where they listed on Binance or some of the major exchanges during like November, right? So it's not that difficult to kind of see that we're starting for a bottom in the market. Another one as well that I want to talk about is Dash. I'm actually going to bring it here, I think, to Poloniex, I think is the right exchange. May not be. I think it might be Bittrex. Let me go ahead and get the proper chart here. And the reason I want to bring this up, this is it right here. Take a look here, guys. Long-term uptrend since 2014. We're very close to that uptrend line on the Bitcoin comparative. I think a lot of these coins are signaling that they're pretty much at the point where we can start to at least see people pay a premium on the actual value that's being transferred in this network. We're finally starting to get towards fundamental value, and that leads us to a point where even though there is a chance of going down, it is very, very unlikely. It's getting much smaller. Your risk to reward potential is increasing. That's what I want to see in this space. So my philosophy overall on the quarter, as we take a look here at Bitcoin, as we take a look at the past 3 months and how we started to actually see a curvature to the upside and some green months, the big thing I want to see is volume in this market. All right. And because of that, because we have not seen volume yet, as much as this has been a great month, a great month, a great quarter in the past 3 months of price action, my analysis is that I need to see more volume. And because of that, because we haven't gotten that yet, it is going to be the latter of those two scenarios I talked about earlier, where we're going to wait towards the summer to actually start seeing price make any key moves. I might be a little bit bearish in that sense. Some people might say I'm too optimistic, but I think that's a very neutral view here, to think that sometime in the summer, later part of 2019, we can at least start to see some upside here. The chart, to be honest, it just speaks that to me, right? That's even with the potential for Bitcoin to have a double bottom. I think that's possible in the next few months to start seeing some upside and get Bitcoin above 4,000 and test around 5,000 or 6,000. So right now, keeping patient in that case. But reason I feel confident about that is what I'm seeing elsewhere outside of the world. It may not be that the confidence is showing in the US or in Canada or in Europe, kind of the western parts of the world, but it is really happening in Korea and is still continuing in Asia predominantly. Now, Kakao Corp is one of the largest tech conglomerates in South Korea. The really big application that they have, to my knowledge, is their messaging app. Now, they do have some other technologies and services that they do sell, but basically Kakao has actually gone about doing an ICO for a blockchain platform that they're going to be building, or a DApp platform that is known as Clayton. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, I think there's, there's Clayton in the SEC and stuff. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Either way, the name is kind of irrelevant. The major thing we have to think about here is the fact that they just raised $90 million and they're planning to raise even more. So how are they doing this in the bear market? Well, let's think about a few of the obvious things right off the get-go. Well-established company, millions of users already, as we'll take a look at in just a minute. And with this as well, you're talking about South Korea. So it's the perfect trifecta. I'd say each of those issues give an excuse to raise $30 million, right? So if you got 3 issues, 3 points there, $30 million each, you get your $90 million figure. No, I'm just kidding. But the major thing to take away from this is that there isn't too much excessive details on what they're really doing. All we really know is that they want to build a platform for dApps. And basically, this is being developed by their subsidiary GroundX, which is a part of, as I mentioned, this tech conglomerate Kakao. And they wanted to build a platform for dApps in this case, which there actually possibly may be a market for in South Korea. And why do I say that? It's because in South Korea, there is a excessive amount of gambling. That's why there's a lot of speculation in the crypto space still. And if you don't believe me, I mean, this isn't me just being stereotypical of South Korea. This is, directly from a lot of the people I know in the South Korea space. They've been, overhyping and selling like, look, it's still going on. The speculation is still there. It's ingrained in South Korea's culture and predominantly in Asia, not to be stereotypical, but, in China, people love going to the casinos and they love speculating in the stock market. It's just a cultural thing, right? And especially in South Korea, where people are very fluid with using digital tokens and just knowing about these different digital currencies, it just is secondhand nature, right? It's just people just get it in that sense. So the bigger thing here is that we don't really know how much fundamental value this platform is going to bring, but the speculation is there, the story's there, and people are going to trade on it. And as I mentioned, Kakao is a respectable company. KakaoTalk is one of their biggest applications. It's an instant messaging application similar to the apps that we probably use like Telegram, WeChat, all the different applications that are out there. But it's not only available in 15 different languages, so it does have some exposure. The vast majority, though, is in South Korea. 93% of its exposure is there, and they have 220 million registered users with 49 million monthly active users. To have that kind of user base ready to tap into, it's why we're seeing the speculation on Samsung partnering with Engine, right? If you can get 40, 50 million users just like that, to potentially utilize your platform in some way, shape, or form, or at least a chunk of that, you've got an instant market, right? You don't have to worry about marketing or selling your token to the world. You have everyone on your platform. They're going to obviously use it, or they're not. So you have to just simply find ways to provide value for users on your platform to actually get them to make the leap to try this. At least you don't have to sell them on an entirely new system. And this is where I think a lot of the actual successful protocols as well as applications are going to come into, because what we find in China specifically is that on WeChat, everything is ingrained on WeChat. Everything people are comfortable with and utilize in their day-to-day lives are built into the apps they're already familiar with. And I think Kakao is going for that same exact approach with their dApp platform. I think it's going to be integrated or utilized within the application itself. I could be wrong on that, but I'd like to know what you guys think down in the comments down below on it. So, if you guys want to look into it, Kakao, again, very big company in this case. I didn't invest into Kakao, for anyone who's wondering. I'm just simply amazed and wowed by the fact that this is still going on in South Korea. And hopefully, maybe there's a little bit more fundamental value out of this. So we'll have to see. Above all, though, we know that the speculation is still there. We still know that there's a lot of hype going in Korea. I've heard from Spunky, who's one of the YouTubers in South Korea, the biggest one out there. He said that he's still pulling like 1,000 people at a given meetup. It's crazy. But I'm hoping to visit Deconomy, which is one of the conferences there, and I'll hopefully get some coverage while I'm there to show you guys the craze that's supposedly still going on, and just give you guys an update on some of the projects and developments going on in the area. So without further ado, that's going to be it for the video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for joining in today. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about that I maybe didn't discuss in the video, or a point on any of the topics we discussed, leave it down in the comments down below. But until the next video, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.